We begin this morning talking with Dr. Liberty Galvin, our OSU Extension weed scientist. And Liberty, you and the team have been busy kind of setting up your research studies. Tell us what you guys have going on.
We really got our field season kicked off 100% this year. We have a grant from the Oklahoma Wheat Commission where we're looking at pre-emergent herbicides because we have documented a lot of resistance to our post-emergent herbicides, which are typically applied in the spring. We've been really looking at fall applied products. Now these are mostly applied to the soil and they require rainfall to activate. And because rainfall is so variable and unpredictable, they're a little bit more of a riskier product. So we wanted to go ahead and test those before we really started pushing those products to growers. We have 3 field sites, one about north of Stillwater, in Perkins, and in Chickasha. Now our field sites that are north of I-40, they got a lot more moisture. We saw really good weed control. Now our Chickasha site, it did not get any moisture. We did have to kind of irrigate those plots to observe the weed control that we were trying to get. But we're finding that with most of these products, they have good weed control up to 14 days, which most people think that you're only going to get good residual control for about 7 days. So that was very promising. It is just our first year. So we're going to repeat this next year, but we're off to the races with our fall weed control.
And you have a second study that's looking at some other factors kind of not related to chemicals. Talk about that study.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shifts at the USDA and like even on our local level for diversified weed control. A lot of people really like using chemicals, but because of resistance issues, we're trying to diversify a little bit. So Dr. Amanda Silva and I have we call it a cultural weed control project going where we're looking at planting timing. And we're finding, even though this is our first season, that if you delay your planting timing until November, all of your winter annual weeds are going to have the right temperature and hopefully some moisture that they're going to germinate out of the ground. If you wait to plant until after those have come out of the ground, you can do tillage if that's what you do. You can spray them with chemicals, but you can spray them with chemicals that you would not use during the wheat season. And so you're diversifying your chemistry. You're giving your crop an opportunity to establish after you've killed all those weeds. So that is, to me, a really big opportunity for our grain-only producers. They have that planting timing flexibility.
Let's switch gears a little bit and kind of talk about what's going on in the field now. We're getting into dormancy this time of year, but we did talk with Josh Bouchon last week, our area agronomist on the west side of the state, and kind of what's going on in these different areas, and you kind of want to follow up on some of those things that he mentioned.
So Josh made a really good point about we have a divide north and south along I-40. Above I-40, we get more moisture, we get cooler temperatures, and so our winter annual weeds that need those cooler temperatures with moisture in order to germinate, we're seeing business as usual. All those weeds have come up in our Lahoma site. Now, south of I-40, we did not get as much rain. It also was warmer for longer. So when we were ready to plant our conventional timing, like in the middle of October, we still had summer Johnson grass. And that was not the case in the north. So that to me is also really fascinating. I talked to farmers that they don't use pre-emergent herbicides, but they'll use a burn down to kind of clean up the field before they plant wheat. Those individuals are in those types of situations where they have those summer annual weeds that they're just trying to get rid of so that they can get good crop establishment. And we are seeing that south of I-40.
And then the weed game or the weed management game is kind of a 50-50 kind of split.
Yes.
So kind of done what we can do for now, but it's not too early to start thinking about what's ahead in the spring?
Oh, it's never too early to start planning ahead. So we are halfway done with our experiments, because we have our fall weed control and then we have our spring weed control. For the pre-emergent herbicide study, that was specifically looking at fall weed control for these pre's, but we are probably gonna throw a bunch of chemicals out in the field in the spring just to see what we could get away with. You know, we're not worried about our crop, so if we kill our crop with the wrong chemistry, that's actually good data.
Because it's research.
Because it's research, it's research. But for that cultural control project, that had we were looking at planting timing, but we're also looking at variety. So we have an early maturing variety. We have a tall, like denser variety that I believe is going to compete with weeds in the spring. We also have a clear field variety. So that clear field variety can be sprayed with the Beyond herbicide. And we have a lot of Beyond imazamox resistance in the state, but not everywhere. So it's still a very good product that can be used. Planting timing, variety, and then combinations of fall and spring weed control. So we're just going with one chemistry. We're gonna look at Everest. Everest has a 60-day pre-harvest interval. That's one of the products that you can apply the latest in the season. And in theory, it should work for dual purpose and grain only producers if they're all trying to harvest a crop. So we're hoping for good commodity prices. We're hoping for good moisture so that we have weeds to kill. And I'll be keeping everybody updated on our spring weed control and how that goes.
Liberty, thank you very much. Lots of great information. And of course, happy holidays to you and your family. And we'll see you again in January.
Awesome. Thank you, Lyndall.